All right, welcome everyone to the NCAA Division I women's basketball first and second rounds in Iowa City. A reminder that Florida State's locker room is currently open for interviews with additional student athletes. We are joined right now by Florida State student athletes Aaron Howard and Michaela Timpson. First, we'll be taking questions from student athletes. Please remember to raise your hand, wait for the microphone to be brought to you, and please state your name and affiliation prior to asking your question. All right, and at this time, we'll open the floor for questions for our student athletes.
Susan Harmon, hawkfanatic.com. We've just been advised that a couple of your players, including your All-American, are not going to be able to play. How does that change your team? Either one of you guys.
I mean, it's gonna be challenging, but we still feel pretty confident going into the game. Obviously we're losing the scoring guard and our point guard, but we still got other people that's gonna have to step up for us, and we feel pretty confident.
Yeah, and to go off what KK said, there's no secret on how much Tanai and Olive contributed this season. So it's a loss, but again, we're excited to be here. We're excited for the opportunity. So we just got to make up for what they do and contribute to the team. But we're excited to be here and ready for both of these games.
What stands out to you about Georgia on film?
They pretty good rebounding team, and they also get the ball on the inside, so they pretty strong on the inside. They don't shoot as many threes, average 3 threes a game, but we just got to be able to contribute on the inside. Guards got to help us rebound, and it's gonna be pretty physical tomorrow. So.
Yeah, I would say rebounding especially, they really want to score on the inside. They're a big team, SEC team, good defensive team, so we know what we're going up against, but mainly defense and the rebounding.
Please remember to give your name and affiliation before asking your question, too.
Jeff Linder, Cedar Rapids Gazette. To either of you, is this your first time in Iowa, and just your first overall impressions of being around here?
Go ahead.
Well, yeah, this is my first time in Iowa. First time ever being here. It's pretty cool. Seeing the surroundings. Just different and kind of look like back home, but not really. Got more buildings and everything. Where I'm from in Georgia, but I like it, and it's gonna be a good experience for me.
I'm from Wisconsin, so it's not my first time in Iowa, but yeah, I've been up here a few times.
Aaron, you played AAU basketball with McKenna Warnock, right?
Yeah.
What was that like? What's she like as a player, as a person?
McKenna's great. I actually hung out with her a little bit last night. She's from the same city as me, back home in Madison. Went to high school about 15 minutes from each other. She's great, though, a really good friend. We keep in touch. One of the main AAU teammates I've kept in touch with up until this point. But she's great. We're looking forward to hopefully getting to that second round just like they are, so we can have that matchup. But she's a great person, great player. So, yeah, I'm excited to get down here and see her again.
Susan Harmon,
Go ahead. Please.
hawkfanatic.com. Georgia, as I understand it, plays a lot of matchup zone. How do you guys think you'll handle that, and what sort of things do you have to do to attack it?
Well, they do play mainly zone the whole game, so just using our zone offenses. Hopefully our three-point shooters can be hot tomorrow, knock down some shots to open up the floor, attack in the middle of their zone, but just everyone has to be able to contribute 1 through 5.
Yeah, and I would say utilizing the high post flashes and everything, and then you can get the ball on the inside, but it's gonna be physical, so we're gonna have to finish through some contact and not look for a call from the refs. So.
John Steppe, Cedar Rapids Gazette. Michaela, what's it like, or is there any added meaning when you're playing as a Georgia native against Georgia?
Not really. I mean, we scrimmaged against Georgia last year, but like, I mean, it's nothing to it. I mean, just got to go in and play against some competition. That's all I can say about it.
John Seppi, Cedar Rapids Gazette. You having scrimmaged with them last year, it's a much different team this year. Do you see any similarities, or has Coach Abe really had a different kind of method to it, or a different style to it?
I really wouldn't know because, I mean, it's going to be our first time playing them since last scrimmage, like a year ago. So I wouldn't know, but, I mean, they play zone and stuff, which is different. They weren't like that last year, I'd say. And, like, mainly focusing on the inside, getting the ball on the inside. I don't think they were like that last year either. So.
Yeah, I would say the same. Again, I feel like Georgia and SEC teams are always bigger teams, big on the inside, a real defensive presence as well. So I feel like that carried over from last year to this year. They have new players, new weapons, but other than that, I feel like they're pretty similar.
All right, any additional questions from our media here? All right, we've got one question online from our Skype group. Eason Kasim from the Tallahassee Democrat. If you'd like to go ahead. All right, I'll go ahead and ask it for him. He asked, with 8 players, how do you pace yourself to play all 4 quarters? Aaron, if you'd like to answer that first.
We've had 10 players all year. We've had it's a small roster, but we've been here before. We've had 8 players, honestly, like the first half of the season. So, I mean, we play fast. There's no secret to the way we play. So I don't think there's really us pacing ourselves. We just have to be mentally tough and go in knowing that most people are going to play 20-plus minutes and just be mentally prepared. So I don't really think there's a pace that we have to change at all, but just knowing that we all have to contribute, we all have to be ready to go out there and give our best. So we've been here before.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Like, I mean, just some of our guards are gonna play more minutes than they usually play, but that's gonna be kind of normal. Other than that, we still gonna keep our same pace that we've been playing all year. No need in slowing down and not playing who we not are. So.
All right, ladies, thanks for joining us today. You may be excused.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll be joined next by Florida State head coach Brooke Whitecroft. All right, at this time, we're joined by Florida State head coach Brooke Whitecroft. A reminder, please raise your hand for any questions. We'll bring a microphone to you, and then please state your name and affiliation. All right, and we'll open the floor for questions.
Hi, I'm Scott Docterman with The Athletic. Wanted to ask about Tanaya. Was this something that was expected, or is this something that kind of came out of nowhere? Because I don't think she competed in the ACC tournament as well.
Yeah, it was something that kind of cropped up right before the ACC tournament, but she was day-to-day. It was not a season-ending injury, but at this point, you know, we with our medical team and our group as a whole, along with Tanaya, just decided that she wouldn't be ready for this tournament, unfortunately, as well. So we're going to miss her, but we're still really excited about this matchup and this opportunity and ready to go.
Susan Harmon, hawkfanatic.com. Coach, you played at Florida State. You served under Coach Sue Semrau. What sort of things have you taken from her and put through your program? What are the things that might look similar to us?
Mm-hmm. Wow, so much. You know, I played for Coach Sue. She's been one of my mentors, one of the closest people in my life, and I worked for her as an assistant coach for 11 years. So there are a lot of similarities in our program now. And basically, you know, the foundation of our program is the same that it's been since I was a freshman at Florida State, which was Coach Sue's first year. And that is that we're about people first. It's person first, student second, athlete third, and that's how we've always been, and that's what was important to Coach Sue, and that's who we are today. Basketball-wise, that's always something that's changed just based on timing and personnel and all those things. But Coach Sue always also was just adamant that, you know, defense and especially rebounding is what wins. and that's definitely what I still believe today and where we put our emphasis as well every day on the court.
Yeah, Jeff Linder, Cedar Rapids Gazette. How does the loss of Tanaya change your team, and how can that void be filled?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it won't change anything that we do stylistically. Tanaya is obviously a huge piece of what we've done. She's a talented scorer and all-around player. But stylistically, in our approach to the game, which is to get out and run, to attack the basket, to find open three-point shooters, that won't change in terms of what we do. We have a lot of other amazing weapons on the team that can do just that and have been doing it all season. And so we'll just have to continue to do that. And again, you know, it always for us and to be able to win in the NCAA tournament, it's going to be about the defensive end. It's going to be about defending Georgia and finishing with a rebound so we can get out and run. So that won't change either.
Coach, does Georgia remind you of a team that you've played, or just are they just sort of an SEC style kind of bunch?
Yeah, both. We saw a lot of 1-2-2 or 3-2 zone throughout the season, especially you know, even in our ACC play. So we've faced that defense before, but they are a big, strong, powerful, you know, what you would call a typical SEC team in my mind. You know, two big posts, looking to pound the ball inside, looking to get the ball inside off of penetration. And so, you know, it is a mix of both. So, you know, in the ACC, you don't see personnel-wise that type of team very often, but we have faced that defense. So we feel good about some of the experience we've had, you know, just getting reps against a 3-2.
John Stubby, Cedar Rapids Gazette. Georgia has, I think it's 10 newcomers. Does that show on film, or do they look more cohesive than that?
I think most of their newcomers came from the team that they had at UCF, which was a very successful team, under Coach Abe there, NCAA tournament team. They went deep in the tournament last year. These are really good players, and they showed that in the SEC, and they're very cohesive, as you said. I think they're a great team that, to me, looks like a team that's been together for years and experienced and know who they are. And so, Coach Abe's done an amazing job taking that group of players and having success in the SEC. And again, they have that NCAA tournament experience. So they're dangerous. Yeah.
Another question about Tenaya.
Yeah.
Is this something that's going to Oh, I'm sorry. Scott Docterman, The Athletic, again. I wanted to ask you, is this something that's going to require surgery, and is this like a lower leg injury, or is there even kind of a general area that you can kind of describe what the problem is?
I can't speak to the injury at all. I'm sorry. We're just not at the point where we're going to talk about what kind of injury it is.
All right. Do we have any additional questions from our in-person media?
John Steppe, Cedar Rapids Gazette again. Does your philosophy in practice change at all when you have a pretty short bench now with 2 fewer players against a very physical Georgia team?
Fortunately or unfortunately, we've been in this situation before throughout the season. We've been down to 8 players at certain times. And so that's one of the things that I love about our group is that, we only have 10, but I feel that, I've always felt we're deep because any of those 10 are capable and ready to step in. And so, and play and give valuable minutes. And so we're back to that again where, we take who we have on any given day and we go out and do what we do. So really philosophically, it hasn't changed at all, as I said earlier. And we have to be, the best versions of us and understanding that, yes, it's going to be physical. This is NCAA tournament time. And so those 8 players are going to really need to be ready to give it their all and know that it's going to be 40 minutes of a physical basketball game.
All right, Coach, we've got 2 additional online questions. First from Allison Posey of WTXL in Tallahassee. After not finishing the season and the ACC tournament like you would have hoped, what have you done the last week and a half to regroup and refocus to get ready for the NCAA tournament?
We've spent a lot of time getting rest, physically, mentally, emotionally, and also just focusing on what's in front of us, which is an amazing opportunity. We're celebrating the fact that we've had an amazing season. We finished better than anyone expected us to, and we accomplished a lot. And so this is, the NCAA tournament, it's a new season, as they say, and so we've been focused on what's ahead and the opportunity that we have as a 7 seed here and to see what we can do in these first and second rounds.
All right, and our final question from Isan Kasim of the Tallahassee Democrat. Gordon started in place of Latson in the ACC tournament. What is the plan with both out? How do you manage with 8 players?
Yeah, what I just said is that we've been in this situation before where different players have had to step in and play somewhat of a different role than they may have been playing recently. But again, we always have risen to the challenge, and we have plenty of personnel ready to step in and fill those roles.
All right. Thank you, Coach, for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
A reminder to everyone that the Florida State locker room is currently open for additional interviews. Please check with the locker room stewards outside for the remaining time. Thank you. No. I can hear me. On your computer? Yes. Okay. Yeah, I can hear me through my computer, but I can't hear you. Welcome everyone to the NCAA Division I women's basketball first and second rounds in Iowa City. A reminder that Iowa's locker room is now open for interviews with additional student athletes. We are joined right now by Iowa student athletes Caitlin Clark, Monica Sinano, and Kate Martin. Please remember to raise your hand for questions, wait for the microphone to be brought to you, and please state your name and affiliation prior to asking your question. For our online viewers, please include your name and affiliation with any typed questions. Thanks to our student athletes for joining us today, and we'll open the floor to questions.
What do you guys think of Susan Harmon, hawkfanatic.com. What do you guys think of Southeastern Louisiana, and what problems do they present?
You know, I think a really good basketball team, but I think when you're, playing in March Madness, anybody's going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder, and we know that they played their conference championship without their best player, and still were capable of winning that. So I know they played LSU really close at the beginning of the year. They've played Power 5 competition, really good defensive team. But, our transition offense is what it is. We have one of the best scoring offenses in the country. So, I think the biggest thing that stood out was, they're a good defensive team. They run some sets that we have seen before, so we have that going for us. But I think they're coming in here with nothing to lose, and that's kind of how it goes when you get to this point of the season. So, anybody, you got to come up and be ready to play, and that's what we're gonna do.
Hi, Scott Docterman from The Athletic. You guys have had a week and a half since you last played in the Big Ten tournament. Do you think that's an advantage to have a time off like that, or is it a disadvantage because you're playing so well? Because I know in the men's it's kind of reverse, and we saw what happened last year to the men's team.
I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a nice reset for our bodies, especially coming off of the Big Ten tournament. And it just feels like we haven't played a game in so long, so I think we're all just chomping at the bit to get out there. But, I think there's a little bit of both ways. We're used to it, though. We've done this however many times. This is Kate and I's 5th year of having this off time before the tournament. But I think this team is hungry in a way. I mean, we know we lost last year, so we've all been really dialed in during this period of having time off.
Jeff Linder, Cedar Rapids Gazette. Caitlin, you talked about playing with a chip on, them playing with a chip on their shoulder. What provides the chip on your shoulders, and how do you keep from playing, or how do you keep playing loose, not tight in this situation now?
Yeah, I think obviously, our early exit last year will always provide that fire for us no matter what point we're at in the tournament, whether, we make it out of this weekend and we move on to the next. We still feel like we have a lot to prove, and we believe, we're one of the best teams in America. But, I think just that more than anything. And I think, just buying into the confidence of your teammates and your coaches and knowing that they have your back every single possession. You're not out there all by yourself. It's a team sport, so just rely on your teammates. And that's going to, help build confidence, relax your teammates, relax yourself. But, these are the moments you dream of and that you work for all season, and they're finally here. So, it's just exciting. But at the end of the day, it's just another basketball game. You just got to go out and play, and that's what we're going to do. We always talk about, just be us, and that's all we need to be. And the results will come with that.
Zach Martin, Quad City Times. With this being your last year, Monica, do you have a different appreciation to getting to the NCAA tournament, getting the chance to play at least one more, maybe two more games in the arena that you have had a stellar college career? Do you have a different level of appreciation for this round for this NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I mean, I think having this opportunity to have two more home games with me being a senior is something that I'll never overlook. It's really special. I'm one of the few seniors who get to do that. But I think in terms of the whole season, I think I'm just as locked in as any other season, if not, yes, a little bit more. But I don't think it's for the reason of it being my last year. I think it's because I know how good this team is, which is why I decided to stay.
But I haven't really been viewing this season. It is a season of last, but if I get too caught up in that, I'll miss what's actually happening right in front of me. So I've just been focused on getting this team as far as we can, just like we all have.
Hi, Scott Docterman with The Athletic. You see, as a group, you seem to have a lot of chemistry with one another. What does it mean for you when one of your teammates maybe is struggling, like let's say Gabby Marshall at one point in the year, but then comes back and the last, 3 to 4 weeks has really shot the ball well? What does it mean for you on a personal level, and then also from a team-wide to have somebody like that be able to step up and have a great finish to the season?
Kate, if you want to go ahead and take this one.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, we're just so happy for Gabby. We had confidence in her all year, and that's all you can really do is just have confidence in your teammates and build them up as much as possible. And we're just glad that, she's believing it in herself, and we're seeing what she's capable of, and we're just really happy for her because, there's a lot of highs and lows in basketball, and the lows are not very fun, but the highs are really high as well. And so we're just really happy for her, and she's going to kill it, and we're really excited to see her keep shooting like she is. And, everybody has an off game here and there, but just keeping that confidence in her is all you can really do.
John Bodenkamp, Associated Press. For any of the players, this was a quick sellout ticket-wise. What does that mean for you guys as players to do that now back-to-back years?
I think it's really special. I think maybe we've gotten kind of used to our fans being as incredible as they are, but at the same time, you can't take it for granted because, I think I was told tickets were all in their carts in 13 minutes and then processed within 50 minutes of them being available. And I know season ticket holders had earlier access and there was already 10,000 gone. So I think it just shows the excitement in our community about women's basketball. And I think, that's the excitement that it could be like that all around the country. And it should be like that because there are a lot of amazing women's basketball teams at the college and pro level. But, it's one of the reasons I came here, and I'm sure those two would say the same, is this support for this team and this program that Coach Bluter has built here is unreal. So you never take for granted getting to run out onto a court with 15,000 people screaming for you. And, we talk about we need to use that to our advantage. And I think, that also helped in our run of the Big Ten tournament. It was basically a crowd all for the Hawkeyes. So it certainly kind of gives you a little edge there. So being able to use that is super important.
Susan Harmon, HawkFanatic.com. Monica, Southeastern is a team that doesn't have a lot of size, and they've been susceptible to post play. Has that been kind of an emphasis, or is it just sort of the same thing for you guys? You're always looking to get the ball inside.
Yeah, they have 6'3" posts, so I would say, it's a pretty even matchup for me height-wise in the posts. They're pretty physical. They're pretty athletic. I think they're similar to some teams we probably saw in a non-conference. I just think it's always been an emphasis for our team to get the ball inside, not even just for me to go to work in the post, but in-outs. There's a bunch of different things, and our offense opens up so much more when we do get it in the post. So, that's always been an emphasis for us. But I think, I'm going to treat it like any other game, any other post player. Everybody who comes into Carver is about to have their best game, it feels like. So we just really show up, do the best we can, and that's all we can do.
No.
Okay. Jeff Linder, Cedar Rapids Gazette. Monica, Kate, you were both here in 2019. I know a lot's been said about Creighton last year, but Mercer really gave you guys everything you wanted in the first round that year. What lesson do you take out of that? This is a 2 versus 15 like that was as well.
I would just say take no one for granted. Anybody who gets into the NCAA tournament, especially a 15 seed, 16 seed, or whoever, you have nothing to lose. They're coming in here and they want to play their best game. And like Monica said, anybody who steps into Carver wants to have their best game. So take nothing for granted. Don't overlook anybody. You can't get to your next step if you don't take care of the first game. So that's what we really emphasize, is just taking it game by game, one step at a time.
Zachary Draves, SB Nation Swish Appeal. Caitlin, given that you all have been in this position before and that you all are hosting again, Does this give you and the team an added level of confidence going into tomorrow?
Yeah, I think certainly. I think, going through this whole process, because, my first year here, we were in the bubble, so I didn't really know what it was like last year. It was like my first year doing all this. So I think certainly, like, how it goes. We're on the same seed line, things like that. But like we've said, like, we just want to come out and play Iowa basketball and be what we've been all year. I think that's the most important thing for us, is we don't have to change anything now that we're in the NCAA tournament and we're playing teams that maybe, we're not as familiar with. So just knowing your scout, coming out and doing what we do every single night, and I think, that'll lead down a path that's really good for us.
Susan Harmon, Hawk Fanatic. Do you guys watch the first game at all while you're preparing for your game?
We did last year. I'm not sure what the plan is for this year. Whether we watch it in real time, that or whatnot, we'll definitely watch it back on film probably additionally. But at the same time, we just want to go one game at a time, so our full focus needs to be on, our first matchup. But yeah, we do understand that the game's going to be going on right outside while we're getting ready for our game. So like I said, whether we watch it in real time or back on film, probably doesn't make a ton of difference. But it probably just will come down to Coach Bluter's decision, and then what people feel comfortable doing that will get them most prepared for our first game.
Kyle Huesman, Hawkeye Report. Southeastern Louisiana ranks pretty low in terms of possessions per game. They like to slow it down, have lower scoring games. How do you guys go about, running your normal transition offense and trying to go fast without being sloppy, because they do a good job of forcing turnovers as well?
Monica or Kate, one of you want to take it? Go ahead.
I think it just starts on defense for us too, having a strong defensive presence, getting to push the ball in transition like we want to then, and just, dictating the whole game from the jump. We've had teams do that to us where we feel like they've slowed us down or sped us up or whatever, and that's what we need to do to them, and just kind of show us that this is how we like to play, and we're going to kind of control it. But I think that's probably the biggest thing, is just having that strong defensive presence.
And when we get stops, our transition is at our best. So getting stops, that'll be an emphasis. Defense is always an emphasis, but when we can box out to push, that's our best offense. And so if we're getting stops, then it'll be hard to stop our transition.
Jeff Linder, Cedar Rapids Gazette. For anybody, I know ESPN, I think they had 12 experts, 11 picked you guys to get to the Final Four. Just your thoughts on that, being the hunted now, not, there's no underdog thing here anymore.
Yeah, I think that's kind of been our thing the whole year is, pressure is a privilege and people are wanting to beat the University of Iowa, but at the same time, that's only 12 people's opinions, and there's a bunch of people in the United States. So you could go ask probably 100 more people, and who knows how many are going to pick us or even, know who's in the women's basketball tournament. So I don't think it really matters. Obviously, that's where we believe we're going to be, and that's really all that matters, that every single person in our locker room believes that we can be there. But at the same time, we know there's quite a few hard games to get to that point. And going game by game is super important. But like I said, I feel like that's kind of been the story for us all year long is, people want to beat the Iowa Hawkeyes. They're going to come in and give you your best game every single time. And I think we really understand that, and we've experienced that all year. So it shouldn't be anything that we're afraid of by any means.
All right, we've got time for one final question. All right, ladies, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be joined next by Iowa head coach Lisa Bluter. All right, we are now joined by Iowa head coach Lisa Bluter. Coach, would you like to make an opening statement?
Well, we're happy to be here, although the drive wasn't too long, so that was kind of nice. It's awesome to be able to have this first game in our home environment. We think we do have one of the most special environments in all of women's basketball around the country. So for us to be here and to be able to show again the country what kind of support the Iowa Hawkeyes get is very, very special. As the girls alluded to, we're fully in preparation to play Southeast Louisiana tomorrow.
Kyle Huseman, Hawkeye Report. I asked the players, Southeastern Louisiana ranks right around 300th in possessions per game. They like to have lower scoring games. How do you go about, running your normal transition, fast offense without, speeding up too much to try to get them out of their game and get yourselves out of your own game, because they do force a lot of turnovers?
Yeah, I mean, they really hang their hat on defense. But we feel like we've played against a lot of really good defensive teams all year long. So, we know that's a part of their game plan. I don't know if they've played against somebody as up-tempo as we are. Maybe you can go back to LSU, who they played very closely. It was an 8-point game at LSU, or Alabama, which was a 10-point loss at Alabama. But quite honestly, I mean, we're not going to change up a whole lot what we do. We're just going to go out and play our game. And if they want to slow it down, then that's okay. But where we are best in transition is when our defense gets stops. That's where we're at our best anyway.
Kennington Smith, Des Moines Register. Coach, you've had some time to go back and digest the Big Ten tournament. What particularly stuck out about the way the team performed that led to the championship, and what are you looking for in terms of areas of momentum to carry over into the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I thought that we played really well as a team. I mean, high assists, balanced scoring, shot the ball well. And so to me, it's like we just got to keep doing that. We got to understand that this is, the whole team needs to be involved for us to be at our very best. And when that happens, we're really good. So we just want to keep that momentum going.
Zachary Draves, SB Nation Switch Appeal. Coach, how much of the added depth that you all have coming off the bench with Hannah and Molly, et cetera, will be helpful to you all going into the tournament?
Oh, absolutely. And Sid, too. Sid's been really playing some critical minutes for us. I think anytime you have that depth, it sure helps you get through a Big Ten tournament where you play back-to-back-to-back. The NCAA tournament, at least you have a day in between. The grind of the long season is real. And you can see a lot of teams are banged up around the country, and we're not. And I think that speaks to the depth that we've been able to use the last couple of months of the year.
Kyle Huseman, Hawkeye Report. You mentioned their matchups against LSU and Alabama. Alabama was averaging 70 points a game. They scored 55. South Carolina's averaging 80, or LSU's averaging 85, and they scored 63 in that game. What stands out about, if you've watched film of those two games, what stands out about what Southeastern Louisiana did in those games to make it a lower scoring contest?
Kyle, I did not watch those games. To me, those were two back farther than, teams evolve throughout the year. I think we're a totally different team than we were in November. I'm sure they're a totally different team. So I did not watch film from those games. I really watched more recent film.
Coach, I know the players were asked about the home crowd that they're going to see tomorrow. Can you maybe comment on that, on the game selling out so quickly, just what kind of environment you're going to have tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, playing in Carver is something very special, and that's why we're glad that we get one and hopefully two more opportunities to do so. And I know for our seniors like Monica and McKenna, this is really special. And this will be the last weekend they get to play in Carver Hawkeye Arena. When senior day we would play in Indiana, they didn't have that pressure. Now they're going to be facing that a little bit. But it is so special to know that your arena sold out faster than any other in the United States. And that's how important women's basketball is to the state of Iowa. And so I'm very, very grateful to be the coach here, where people really respect what we're doing and people are excited about what we're doing, and we bring joy to people that watch us. I know there's a lot of people that couldn't get tickets to this game, and they're going to be on watching on TV and completely vested in this game. So it's pretty humbling to know that this team is loved by so many, but we accept it and we enjoy it, and we want to give them a good show this weekend.
John Steppe, Cedar Rapids Gazette. How have you seen Hannah grow over the course of this year?
Well, I think it's just her maturity going from am I supposed to be here to yes, I'm supposed to be here to yes, I'm an impact player. And I think that's just been her evolution over the year is that, at first she's like kind of tiptoeing around in the summer thinking, am I really here? And then now understanding we need her. It's not that she's just here, but we need her to be successful. So I just think it's a confidence, it's a mentality, and it's also, us being able to really identify her strengths and weaknesses and being able to emphasize those strengths.
Kennington Smith. Excuse me, Kennington Smith, Des Moines Register. You had a pretty good amount of time between the Big Ten tournament up until Selection Sunday. Probably not that much time where you're not preparing for another opponent. How advantageous was that to work on yourselves, and what is that process like as a coaching staffer? You get a chance to kind of like maybe work on some finer details about the team.
Yeah, when we come home from the Big Ten tournament, it's pretty exhausting, and you're pretty mentally fatigued. Even when you win it, it's such a high, and then it takes a little time to come down from that. And so I'm really glad we had this time off. I'm glad we play Friday rather than Saturday, but I'm really glad we had this week and a half that we could kind of relax a little bit, regroup, get back to being Iowa. And so, yeah, we were able to work on us a little bit during the week before we found out on Sunday night who we were going to be playing. But I think that's a really good thing. Again, we're not banged up, but a lot of teams are. But mentally, I think it would have been really hard for us to turn around and play in a few days.
Hey, Lisa, John Bonenkamp, Associated Press. You were talking about the fan support, but you don't seem surprised by it, but has there been some moments when you were just like, wow, I can't believe that, we're getting this, especially on the road?
Yeah, I guess the road is what surprises me more than anything. Carver, we've had sellouts here last year. We did, really when Megan was here as well in the NCAA tournament. So it's not that I expect it. I value it and I enjoy it. And it, it makes us incredibly happy that we get the fan support that we do. But what has been surprising to me is when we go on the road. And when I see, in Maryland, girls with signs, I'm from Massachusetts and I came here to see you play, largely for Caitlin. We're at Nebraska, I'm your biggest fan in North Dakota. And people traveling miles to see this team and to see Caitlin play. I got an email yesterday from somebody from New Jersey that her daughter got black and gold brace bands put on because she's such a Caitlin Clark fan. I mean, to me, that impact that she has made and thus our team has made across the United States, I mean, that's really rewarding. And I think we saw that with Megan a little bit. Megan, everybody was out there doing the mic and drill after Megan. But we've kind of, I don't know, we're a team that I think a lot of people really like to cheer from around the country. And that's where I've seen the most, what shocks me a little bit is going to Penn State and seeing people just lined up, after the game to get Iowa Hawkeye autographs.
Zach, Martin, Quad City Times. Lisa, do you sense that this team is pretty loose heading into the NCAA tournament this year? It would be easy to say that you guys are, might be tight after having an early exit, but do you sense that this team is pretty loose?
I do right now. I feel like we're just very glad to be at home. We're enjoying the experience. We're excited to play. I think what I see is more excitement to get back out on the court again. Because, as we talked about, it has been a while, and that makes you just get excited to play. You just want to get out there again. And so I see more of an excitement than a tightness.
John Bonenkamp, Associated Press again. There's been kind of a Big Ten drought in the Final Four. Got a number 1 seed this year in Indiana, a number 2 seed, and you guys, what is it going to take to kind of break that? And do you think this is the year that happens?
I sure hope it does. We have a number 2 in Maryland as well. so we have a lot of possibilities. I think now we have teams, A, good enough to be there, and B, maybe a path to get there. Sometimes, the path is not as easy. Sometimes you get a good seed, but it really comes down to matchups a lot of times over seed. And I feel like this year, maybe some of us have a good path to get there as well. So I'm excited about this opportunity. I think that the Big Ten has proved over and over this year how good this conference is. So, I think this could definitely be the year.
Zach Martin, Quad City Times. Lisa, when you watch Southeastern Louisiana on film, they've +5.5 in the turnover margin, very aggressive defensively. Do you sense that as well, looking that on film, that their defense and their pressure could give you guys some fits?
I think they're a very good defensive team. I think, Jen Pierre is extremely fast at their point guard position. I feel like, it's what they stress. But again, I feel like we've played against some really good defensive teams, whether it's Maryland, Indiana, Ohio State, Connecticut. I feel like we've prepared ourselves to see good play in the NCAA tournament. And so, yes, they're a good defensive team, but I feel like we've seen good defensive teams as the year has progressed.
All right. Any additional questions? All right. Thank you for joining us, Coach.
Thank you.
All right. A reminder that the Iowa locker room is still currently open for interviews. Please check with our stewards outside for remaining time. Thank you.